So now let's talk about the PlayStation 5 slash Xbox 2. I really hate that. I really hate that code name for it. But the next Xbox. When will these consoles come out? When should we expect the ninth generation of consoles to roll out? And this is a very tricky question for a lot of people, especially since the Xbox One X and the PS4 Pro recently came out. And obviously, these consoles were released as a way for the current generation of consoles to last a little bit longer. Because right out of the box, the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One were kind of underpowered, right? And this is in 2013. Now, they really got a problem where their consoles are pretty underpowered, right? A lot of developers are not happy with the technology in the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. So they're a big reason. They lobbied for more powerful hardware. So they're a big reason as to why we have the Xbox One X and the PlayStation 4 Pro. And my opinion on the PS4 Pro and Xbox One X is probably well known to most of you. But if you don't know, I absolutely hate the concept of releasing a more powerful version of the same console in the middle of the generation. I just don't like it. I really don't, because you're really entering uncharted territory in the sense that you have the possibility. Now, it hasn't happened yet, I don't believe, but you still have the possibility of them releasing games that are exclusive to that version of the PS4. So, for example, if, let's say, PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, the developers say, hey, look, we cannot make PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds on the Xbox. It's not possible. Now, I know that it is coming on the regular Xbox, but it's going to be significant. The performance is going to be significantly worse on the original Xbox, or the original Xbox One, rather, than the original Xbox One. That just sounds weird to me, because when I think of original Xbox, I think the original Xbox. And when I thought Xbox One, before the Xbox One came out, I thought the original Xbox. So that's just a total mindfuck right there. But the point I'm trying to make is that the first Xbox One that came out in 2013 is significantly less powerful than the Xbox One X. So we're going to have a situation where somebody who owns an Xbox One X is going to have a completely different experience playing PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds compared to somebody who, is playing on the other Xbox One. Now, if these consoles end up taking off, the PS4 Pro has been out for a year, and I think it's been selling pretty good, I think. I'm not sure if the sales have been meeting Sony's expectations, but it hasn't been like a total bust so far. Like, I'm pretty sure I would have heard about it if it was just a total commercial failure. Xbox One X just came out, so we don't know how much it sold. I would assume... I can't really make any assumptions at this point. The gaming industry is just so... It's kind of unpredictable about what trends or which way that the industry is trending, right? But all I know for certain is this. If the Xbox One X slash PS4 Pro ends up selling very well, like exceeding Sony and Microsoft's expectations well, we shouldn't expect the PS5 slash Xbox 2 or whatever the hell you want to call it. I don't even know what to call it. Just the next generation Xbox, I guess. We should not expect that for a few more years at least, if these consoles end up selling very well. But if they don't end up selling very well, if the sales numbers aren't too great, then I think we should expect the PS5 slash next generation Xbox, the ninth generation of consoles, first being revealed, I would say E3 2019. I think that's a safe bet. I don't think any earlier would make any sense. E3 2018, I don't think you have to worry about new consoles being revealed, although it is time, without the consoles being incredibly underpowered. Back then, when the PS2 came out in 2000, I believe, year 2000, and the PS3 was revealed in, I think it was revealed in 2005, E3 2005, Or was it? It might have been E3 2006. It was one of those E3s, but it did definitely come out in '06. So you had 6 years of the 6th generation. But if you want to talk about 5th generation, the PS1 came out in 1995 and was discontinued. Well, it was replaced by the PS2 in like 2000. So that lasted 5 years. N64, I know, was completely discontinued in 2001, came out in 96. We're not even going to talk about the Sega Saturn. So the 5th generation lasted 5 years. 4th generation, let's see if my retro knowledge is good. I know the Sega Genesis came out in 1989, but when did the Saturn come out? I think it came out in 95, right? So that lasted a good 5-6 years. I know the Super Nintendo came out in like, I think it came out in 1990. I think. Shit. But the point is, the average lifespan of a console generation is 5 to 6 years. That's been the case for the past 20, 30 years so far. So if you do the math, what is 2018 minus 2013? Because that's the year that the current generation of consoles were first revealed. That is a good 5 years already. So that's really the average lifespan of a generation. And it seems that with the Xbox One X and PS4 Pro, they're trying to extend the life of the current generation of consoles like almost as long as the previous generation. The 7th generation was one of the longest, if not the longest console generation ever. It lasted from... The Xbox 360 lasted 8 years. The PS3 lasted 7 years. So this is probably the longest console generation we ever had. A lot of people don't realize how spoiled they are compared to previous generations. They think, oh my, a lot of people were complaining. We all know those people, all of our friends and all of, maybe our family members who were like, oh man, I don't want to buy a new console. The PS3, it feels like the PS3 just came out. I just bought the PS3 or the 360 or whatever. Man, you guys don't realize how lucky you guys were. So we've had for a good 2 years, like from at least from 2013 till 2015. It's even today, like WWE 2K18 was revealed a few months ago to not be coming out on the PS3, and people were complaining about that. This is 11 years, 12 years after these consoles came out, and they expect games to still come out for them. It's just ridiculous. But anyway, it seems to me like they're trying to have this current generation last like 6 or 7 years. That's why they're releasing these kind of in-between consoles, because they're not new generation, right? They're just they only play Xbox One games. It's not like a new generation of consoles. It's called the Xbox One X, which of course is a version of the Xbox One. PS4 Pro is just another version of the PS4. I do hope that these consoles end up failing and do not end up selling well, because this really isn't something that I want to see done more in the future. I just don't like the idea of releasing more powerful versions of the same console, because it makes consoles more like a PC in that sense, that with these consoles it's a less universal experience for everybody, because it's kind of like a hierarchy now. You have the Xbox One X, which is now on top, that has superior versions of the same game, and it's a different experience now, which is not what consoles are supposed to be. It's not. It should never be like that. Consoles should not become more like PCs, because if people wanted a more PC-like experience, they would just go to PC gaming, honestly. If you want a PC experience where you can, upgrade your hardware and you could do all the stuff that consoles are trying to emulate now, then honestly, these people should just go to PC. I think I don't understand the point, the logic behind having these consoles. I really do not. I mean, I understand why they're being released, but I don't understand the logic of actually buying them, especially if you already have an Xbox One or a PS4. It's just, you're totally just ruining the console experience by having these consoles come out. PCs are PCs and consoles are consoles. The two should not be mixed. I'm sorry, but they shouldn't. And I hope that PC gamers can understand where I'm coming from, and they can maybe agree with me on that. I'm sure you guys don't want PCs to become more like consoles, so you understand that I do not want consoles to become more like PCs. But if these consoles do end up selling, not only would it set a very dangerous precedent for console gaming going forward, the point I was making earlier about how now there's a potential of having games coming out that can only be played on the Xbox One X or only be played on the PS4 Pro because for whatever reason, it's not powerful enough on the PS4. And some people probably argue, well, it's better than not having, not being able to play it at all on the Xbox One. Yeah, but alienating a portion of the consumer base, of the Xbox base, people who already bought an Xbox One are now going to be thinking, wow, wait, I bought an Xbox One. How come there are now Xbox One games that I'm not allowed to play for whatever reason? But if these consoles do end up selling very well, and they end up having a pretty good install base, then I think that the PlayStation 5 and the next generation Xbox will be delayed by a couple years, right? Because if you have a lot of people that just bought the Xbox One X and then like 2 years later, oh, here's a new console, people are not going to like that. But if only a handful of people bought it, then, oh well, sucks to be you. Don't make a stupid fucking decision like buying a new fucking console that you already have. I don't understand why people did that. These fucking fanboys, you guys, I'm not even going to name any names, People who are watching this video, they know who they are. You know who I'm talking about. I don't even need to drop names. But regardless of what happens with the Xbox One X and the PS4 Pro, how well they sell or whatever the hell else happens during this generation, I do think that 2019 is the earliest we will hear any announcements relating to 9th generation consoles, and I think 2020 will be the latest that we will hear. So I'm making a bet, not betting any money because I really can't do that. But I'm willing to project that we will get a PS5/Xbox 2 reveal between 2019 and 2020 for sure. I'm also willing to bet that these new consoles will be 4K 60, 4K 60 frames per second. I'm not sure when 4K will take off. It's not really taken off too much right now. 4K TVs are still hella expensive, and it's not even like the TV industry and the film industry is really embracing 4K that much yet. I can't name any TV station that has 4K, any TV provider that has 4K channels. I can't name too many movie theaters that, have 4K cinema or anything like that. So it's going to take a very long time, probably longer than it took for HD to take off. And remember how long it took for that to happen. HD was invented in the late 90s, I believe. So, and when was 4K invented? Like 2012, 2013, that's when it really first started popping up. HD first started popping up in the late 90s, early 2000s. Look how long it took for HD to take off. And I assume it's going to take even longer for 4K to take off. But despite that, it wouldn't make any sense for them to release a next generation of consoles that's less powerful than their in-between consoles. You know what I'm saying? It would make no sense whatsoever for the PS5 to be at a lower resolution than the PS4 Pro. Wouldn't make any sense at all, and I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think you have to worry about that. So when it comes to being powerful enough, I think that they're going to step their game up, in terms of hardware capabilities. But, the consumer will still suffer in another way. While they will be having more powerful hardware, and the games will be sort of on par with the PC version, at least longer than it was on the current generation, price is going to be another problem. We already had people complaining this generation about not being able to buy the PS4 or the Xbox One. It's too expensive. I mean, the Xbox One I understand because it was bundled with the Kinect, and it was $100 more than the PS4. It was like $500. But if you've had a console for 10 years already, or 8 years, whatever it was, and you're complaining about not being able to get the new console, I mean, that's one thing. But imagine how bad that's going to be now. It was already bad enough. Every time a game was announced to not be coming out for the 360, you guys remember how bad it was in 2013, 2014, 2015 especially, when the developers started abandoning the previous generation of consoles, People are losing their shit. We're absolutely losing their shit about that. So that's going to be intensified even further now because the consoles are probably going to be even more expensive than they were before. I'm only saying that because the consoles were already the consoles were underpowered when they came out. PS4 and Xbox One were very underpowered when they came out. But what you don't know, what some people don't realize, is that Sony was selling these consoles at a loss. Now, I'm sure you guys know Sony's financial state. Not very great. I mean, I'm sure the PlayStation has really turned things around for the company, but overall, Sony's financial picture isn't very pretty. So, selling stuff at a loss isn't a great thing. I'm sure they made up for most of the losses that they took selling their hardware with their software sales, which I'm pretty sure did happen because the PlayStation brand has become a very profitable brand for Sony. But what I'm saying is expect the new generation of consoles to probably be more expensive than the previous generation, or I guess now it's the current generation. For now, it's the current generation. When they came out, it was $400 for one, and it was $500 for the Xbox One. So the PS4 was $400, the Xbox One was $500 because it was bundled with the Kinect, which is now dead apparently. I heard that story last week. Apparently the Kinect is officially dead. Nobody uses the Kinect anymore. No games come out with the Kinect anymore. They don't even sell the Kinect anymore in stores. So anybody who bought a Kinect, I feel so bad for you. Anybody who thought that was actually going to take off. Anyway, with them focusing on making beefier hardware now and really focusing on making sure that their console is not underpowered, because that's been a huge complaint about this current generation, expect price to increase a little bit by maybe $50, could be $100, I don't know. But expect that to happen, especially with the economy being in the upswing. Don't expect consoles to become more affordable next generation. Do not expect that to happen, because it's not. I can guarantee that. So I do expect when these consoles come out, they'll be 4K 60 frames. What else? It should probably be around $450 to $500 for each system, because I'm pretty sure Microsoft gave up on the Kinect. They're not going to force you to bundle shit together, so I don't think you have to worry about that. What else is a very important detail about these consoles that I can make a pretty safe projection on? I think that's pretty much it. As far as Nintendo's concerned, the Switch is going to stick around for years to come. The Switch has already outsold the Wii U. The entire Wii U install base, which... the Wii U's been out for, let's see, it came out in 2012, and I guess it was discontinued in, 2016, 2017, whatever year it was. So it's lasted about 4 or 5 years, and it sold less than a Nintendo Switch is selling in a year. So the Switch is selling really good. It's on fire right now. It's probably going to continue in an upward trend, especially since the supply is really not meeting up with the demand. So... expect the Switch to be hot, a pretty hot product for the next few years. It's definitely going to be completely beaten out, though, by the PS5 and the new Xbox when it comes to hardware capabilities. So what does that mean for Switch owners? Expect multi-platform games to start not coming out once the PlayStation 5 comes out. Because we're already having a situation where, for example, WWE 2K18 and other games are having less features than the PS4 Xbox One version. So, for example, with WWE 2K18, it's the first wrestling game that has 8 players at once. It used to just be restricted to 6 players. Now you could have 8 players at once. But on the Switch, you can only have 6. So expect once the PS5, once the 9th generation starts rolling, starts coming in, that's really when graphics and Nintendo's hardware capabilities are really going to negatively affect the console. Because right now it's fine, I guess, but in a couple years, when these new consoles are being rolled out, expect the Nintendo Switch to suffer, at least when it comes to third-party support. First-party support, I'm sure they're going to keep, they're going to be on fire, and a lot of people are still going to buy the Switch because of its, mobile feature of having the, you could take it out, You could play it as a handheld, and you could play it as a home console, and it's like a hybrid console. You know, that novelty is going to last for a little bit. But I'm going to say halfway into the 9th generation, the Switch is going to start becoming obsolete, and Nintendo's probably going to have to start releasing a new console within the next, I don't know, I'd say in like 4 years probably. I'd say that's probably a safe bet. Maybe 5 years tops. I can't see it lasting longer than that. Nintendo consoles are known for not lasting as long as its competitors. Just think about the N64. It didn't last too long. I mean, the N64 and PS1 lasted the same. I'll give them that. GameCube didn't last nearly as long as the PS2. Wii did not last nearly as long as the PS3. So, yeah, Nintendo consoles aren't known for lasting as long as its competitors. Although it claims that it's not competing with Sony, which is probably a problem in of itself, because Sony and Microsoft need all the competition they can get, in my opinion. So I do hope Nintendo does continue to change in a positive direction, act like it's a 21st century game company and not stuck in the 1980s. That would be great. But who knows at this point with Nintendo. I'm not going to be too negative about Nintendo because they have been doing a great job with the Switch, especially compared to the Wii U. It's not even a comparison. The Switch is a much better console than the Wii U. The Wii U was fucking abysmal. So Nintendo is improving. I'm going to give them that. Nintendo is improving drastically. Are they improving enough? No. But they are improving drastically. They are moving the company in a positive direction. So when it comes to Nintendo, that's what I think. That's the role I think they're going to play into the 9th generation. They're probably going to have to release a new console. Probably way before the PS6 comes out, which I don't know when. We're not even gonna even. No. We're not talking about PS6. That's way too early. But I do think that as far as consoles dying off or becoming obsolete, that's never gonna happen. Never. I don't care. It's never gonna happen. We're gonna have plenty of more console generations. Consoles are never going to die. No matter how much people might wish it happens, on the PC side, which I do think is kind of immature. But anyway, those are pretty much all my predictions about the 9th generation. I can't, as far as exclusives and other stuff like that, I really can't make any predictions because it's way too early to predict those things. But in terms of hardware capabilities, in terms of release date and all other stuff, I think my predictions are probably going to play out the way that I say they are. They might not. They might change a little bit. But, again, this all really depends on the Xbox One X and PS4 Pro's financial success, right? So I think I think that 2019 is the safest bet for when we're going to start hearing about the 9th gen, like seriously hearing about it and not just being stupid rumors and actually getting legit announcements about it. And I think that's really when we're going to have serious conversations about the 9th generation. But until then, if you're worried about people might be worried about this video. Oh my God, I'm so worried. I just bought the PS4. In a few years, it's going to just be obsolete. You still got a good solid 2 years left. And, if it is in 2 years and people start complaining, just remind them that you've had 6 years. 6 years for a piece of hardware is a very, very, very long time, especially when you have $1,000 iPhones that are going to become obsolete in 1 year. The iPhone 10, $1,000. Yeah, you think in a year that it's not going to become obsolete? That's what happens with these iPhones. So gamers are really more spoiled than they think they are. They really don't realize how good they have it. But anyway, I think I've dragged this topic through the mud enough. I've predicted the 9th generation as best as I could. And yeah, I think that's probably the way things are going to turn out.